The Galactic Federation is helping humanity build a Starfleet for planetary defense.
You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, social, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. Visit exopolitics.org and sign up to receive our email notifications, news, and information. Be informed and be aware with Exopolitics Today. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
According to Val Nek, a high commander with the Galactic Federation of Worlds, Earth is undergoing a major power shift with the exodus of the Dark Fleet and their Draco Reptilian and Orion allies from our solar system. In his latest communication, relayed through one of his contactees, Megan Rose, we learn more about the status of unfolding events on Earth and our solar system, especially concerning the construction of huge motherships in Earth orbit that will serve as international outposts and the development of a Starfleet for planetary defense. In a previous article, I explained why I believe Megan's communications closely align with another contactee, Elena Danan, who has also met and knows Val Nek. One of the criteria I use to assess the validity of information from news sources such as Megan is if something is happening in real life that independently confirms what is being said. In the case of this latest intel, I was in the midst of communicating with JP, one of my longtime sources since 2008, who is currently serving with the US Army and wishes to remain anonymous. His information, which I will soon present, corroborated what Val Nek was saying to a surprising degree. Consequently, I pass on the following information with high confidence that it is credible and worth evaluating for gaining a big picture overview of current events in our solar system. On the morning of September 7, this was the message Megan received from Val Nek. Quote, Val Nek, Mars has been liberated. The Salla Empire, the Dark Fleet, have fled Mars completely. They are now trying to flee to other star systems like Sirius A and form alliances to attack the Federation and planet Terra. This is the need for ongoing security and training personnel from the Terran military, along with building a space fleet equipped to handle an attack. On Mars, most of their dark portals have been completely closed with the exception of a few, which the Federation is working on. Their main portal to their headquarters, Aldebaran, has been closed completely. This is a huge victory for the Federation, as it is impossible for them to re-enter and re-infiltrate their precious outpost on Mars. As you know, I've been working with US military officials to train and implement a fleet to protect and defend Terra. I want to reiterate that we have implemented technology to protect planet Terra. The Starfleet, as you call it, is designed with higher density technology, making many of the new ships undetectable to the enemy. The enemy is unable to track or locate these ships due to the higher frequency. The ships have the capability to materialize and dematerialize in a lower density when necessary. This technology was given to the Terrans and must be built or produced by Terrans as to be in accordance with the laws of the Federation. End quote. This is where the information of my anonymous source, JP, becomes relevant. Synchronistically, on the morning of September 7, he was telling me that he and select US Army colleagues were participating in multiple missions to the moon on advanced shuttlecraft using Nordic extraterrestrial technologies that had been shared with US military and built on Earth. In a previous article, I explained an incident where JP met with one of these Nordics working with the US military and took a photo of the spacecraft. JP said that while his army colleagues were having their memories wiped, he remembered everything about the moon missions. He described the shuttlecraft as very similar to a Nordic spacecraft that he had witnessed in Brazil in 2008, soon after which we began communications. I have documentation proving JP is currently serving with the US Army and has completed Special Forces training necessary for covert space missions, along with the training required for his military occupation specialty, MOS 91J, as a quartermaster and chemical repairer. JP described the Moon shuttlecraft as fully autonomous vehicles that were a combination of human and extraterrestrial technology being remotely controlled from the Moon and Earth depending on where the craft was transiting. The principle is similar to an airport shuttle, but in this case, the craft was shuttling military personnel very quickly forth and back to the Moon for defense and construction projects. Here are extracts from my Skype conversation with JP. Quote, "Tiring moon and back, moon and back, moon and back, moon and back, moon and back. Converting ice into water. I never seen this craft before. Similar from the one in Brazil, sharper ends. I remember something interesting. The floor was made to like a gel substance. We sat around in a circle, belted in. You feel the G-force a split second, and everything seems normal. A lot of people are going to the moon and not having recollection. I still have recollection. I remember everything. There's always construction going around. Is always new stuff coming up. It was kind of funny. When we left one time, another group stayed, but only speaking French. It's like an international thing. And another time, another group stayed that does not even look human, similar to us. Take turn holding these spots down. It looks more like Nordic technology. It's like a mixture of us and them." End quote. JP's military occupation specialty 91J status supports his claim of being sent to the moon to install or repair equipment that would convert ice into water. JP's information directly supports Val Nek's claim that the Galactic Federation is helping the US and allied militaries build fleets of new advanced spacecraft for a variety of space missions. JP's information directly supports Val Nek's claim that the Galactic Federation is helping the US and allied militaries build fleets of new advanced spacecraft for a variety of missions, a modern-day Starfleet. JP's information also supports a prior communication from Val Nek, who described the construction of a new moon base and refurbishing older abandoned bases. I now return to Val Nek's communication with Megan on the morning of September 7. Quote, Val Nek, "Thus the need for the Earth Alliance to make agreements with large corporations. I must stress that although there is of course in times of war the chance of an incoming threat, that planet Terra is secure and we are doing everything that we can to ensure the safety of the Terran people. Do not consent to fear. It is my honor and pleasure to serve the Terran people. Megan, can you say anything about why the Sakars want to come back to Terra? Val Nek, I cannot disclose everything. They are interested, of course, in planet Terra for its vast resources. They are trying to make alliances with other species from other star systems that will adhere to their strict code of ethics, if you can call them that. What I mean by this, the Sakar historically are not good negotiators. They need resources to negotiate, Terran resources. They do not make good allies, as they have a predatory nature and look out for their own self-interests. Their ability to negotiate, their power, has substantially decreased since their supply of trade has been cut or obliterated. They are rendered powerless. This is good news." End quote. Val Nek's reference to the Galactic Federation and Earth Alliance's need to work with major corporations, especially Elon Musk's SpaceX, Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin, and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, has aroused much public criticism due to the questionable practices of these corporate CEOs in the past and their links to the deep state. However, from the perspective of Val Nek and the Galactic Federation, Earth has an urgent need to defend itself from the possible return of their former extraterrestrial overlords with new allies. Therefore, the construction of large fleets of stealth-equipped spacecraft with powerful defense technologies is a priority, and large aerospace corporations have vital roles to play in building a Starfleet for the Earth Alliance and the combined space commands of allied nations. In the evening of September 7, Megan received further information from Val Nek about ongoing activities in space involving the Galactic Federation and the Earth Alliance. Quote, Val Nek, "The Federation is working with the Alliance and their partners to develop outposts surrounding Terra. These outposts will be put in place for various reasons, but the main reason being security and surveillance. There are different sections of the satellite grid, as I mentioned, the space fence, that will be monitored from these outposts. These outposts are similar to the International Space Station, but are not the same thing. The International Space Station is in the hands of the Alliance and will likely be dismantled or refurbished depending on what the Alliance decides to do. The Federation is independent from some of their decision making, and this is one of them. I cannot say any more about the International Space Station. The outpost will be similar to what we call a mothership. It will be a station in the sky that is used to monitor Terra and the fleets protecting Terra. This technology that the station is built with will be manufactured by the companies that participated in the Jupiter agreements. It is very good news and a very big deal. The motherships, by motherships I mean there will be one main one and several other smaller outposts, but still large, considering the size of a normal ship, will be equipped with medical technology, living quarters for soldiers, and many other technologically advanced components that I can reveal at a later date. There will also be space for fleets of ships to be docked, calibrated and checked on to make sure they are working properly before and after space travel. Please understand this is a very large operation. As you can imagine, the Federation is helping engineers to work on, repair and learn these ships once they are manufactured by the Terran people. Megan, the space fence, the satellite system will be monitored from the moon as well? Val Nek, yes of course, for safety reasons, Terra will be monitored from many outposts in the sky as well as on the moon at the new base. This is the most secure way to handle operations. Megan, is there anything else you would like to say? Val Nek, not at this time. I will give more reports at a later date as our operations are ongoing. I asked Val Nek 2 questions which Megan relayed to him, and we received the following responses. Note, I mistakenly thought Val Nek had earlier referred to 3 outposts being built in Earth orbit in framing my question. Michael Salla, 1. I do have a question about the 3 outposts that will be established and the decommissioning of the International Space Station. As far as I'm aware, the National Reconnaissance Office, along with the CIA, had 1 or more stealth, wheel-shaped space stations based on the von Braun space station design that they used to conduct covert and intelligence operations around the planet that were set up in the 1970s and 80s. What will happen to these NRO CIA stealth space stations as the new outposts are set up? Val Nek, there are more than 3, and there will be 1 main station, which is a larger structure. This structure is built with the same technology used to build the new moon base for the US. It is an impenetrable technology that uses a high frequency to create a grid in the walls of the structure, but also in this case around the station as well. This disallows any unauthorized personnel. This technology, of course, will be built by the Terran people, thus referencing the agreements made in the Jupiter agreements. I would like to reiterate, it is likely, although I cannot confirm, that the International Space Station will be dismantled or at least refurbished due to its technology soon being very outdated compared to what is being manufactured for space at this time. In reference to the NRO CIA space stations, in the interest of Megan's safety, I cannot completely answer this question. What can I say? Our operations in respect to some of these groups are ongoing. There has been, as many know, an infiltration of an extraterrestrial presence in some of these organizations. The war on and under planet Terra is ongoing. Now that the Dark Fleet has left Mars, the military allies of some of these groups are greatly weakened and they pose little threat. However, in times of war, we do not disclose ongoing operations. End quote. The security concern over Megan's safety is entirely understandable. A secret space program set up by the CIA is currently run out of National Reconnaissance Office facilities using CIA black budget funding. It is very secretive and runs out of the Office of Space Reconnaissance, which is formally part of the CIA despite being staffed by NRO personnel and aerospace contractors. I explain how the Office of Space Reconnaissance was set up this way in 2014 to escape congressional and executive branch oversight in Chapter 7 of my book, Space Force, Our Star Trek Future, published in 2021. It's worth emphasizing that in the congressional legislation, the National Defense Authorization Act, which created the US Space Force, that NRO activities would remain outside of the military chain of command. In short, while US Space Command would have control of Space Force and other military assets in space, the joint NRO-CIA space program would remain independent. This will prove to be a major challenge to future US Space Command operations, as my Space Force book explains. Val Nek's response to my second question follows. Quote, Michael Salla 2. Also, does Val Nek know about China's role for the mothership outposts? China was excluded from the International Space Station due to mistrust, but due to the Jupiter agreements, I assume it will be included in the new outposts. Val Nek. China has limited access as outlined in the Jupiter agreements. They are considered by the Federation to be the least trustworthy. There is an opportunity to gain trust with good behaviour over time. I can reveal that the US will be in charge of these stations we are manufacturing. Other countries and their space programs will have access to them as outlined in the Jupiter agreements. There is a code of conduct outlined in these agreements. For example, how to behave in space and other, what you can consider legal guidelines for maintaining their programs respectively. Megan, why is China the least trustworthy? Val Nek, the reasons I cannot fully disclose, but I can say they were evaluated by the Council of Five, a spiritually evolved organisation, to be slightly regressive and to have many self-interests. The Council of Five had a role in the Jupiter agreements, and part of that role was to evaluate the spiritual evolution of the leaders on Terra. This was done, of course, to ensure the safety of the Terran people, as we know they have been under tyrannical control for some time. End quote. In Rise of the Red Dragon, The Origin and Threat of China's Secret Space Program, published in 2020, I explain how China has built a secret space program using espionage, deception, and corporate theft of advanced aerospace technologies from the US and around the world. China was in the midst of building a large, powerful fleet of spacecraft with the help of negative extraterrestrial groups. China now has to face a new strategic landscape where its former allies have been forced to flee, and a new extraterrestrial group is mentoring humanity in its transition into a spacefaring civilization. In the meantime, China is quickly filling in the vacuum created by the exodus of the Dark Fleet from Antarctica, as I've explained in a previous article. In conclusion, the latest information received from Val Nek provides many valuable insights into what is happening in our solar system. His information is independently backed by my anonymous source, JP, who has participated in secret army construction projects on the moon using hybrid human and extraterrestrial technologies, including autonomous space shuttlecraft. As far as constructing several massive space stations, motherships, to serve as monitoring, repair, and planetary defense outposts is concerned, there are good reasons why such an endeavour is necessary. There is indeed a high likelihood that the negative extraterrestrial races that have recently fled our solar system will attempt to return at some future time, first through infiltration and eventually through more kinetic means using new interstellar allies. Val Nek's information confirms that we are in the midst of an enormous planetary transition. Humanity is being helped by the Galactic Federation in building a Starfleet for planetary defense. A Star Trek future is unfolding right now as envisaged in a 2019 Space Futures report and presents many new opportunities and challenges for humanity. I wish to thank Megan Rose for relaying Val Nek's information and answers to me. If you want to learn more about our Star Trek future, then I highly recommend my September 11 webinar titled Our Star Trek Future, which will reveal how the Galactic Federation played a significant role for decades in nurturing such a future, and even was in contact with Gene Roddenberry in the 1960s in seeding such an idea into humanity's consciousness. This has been Dr. Michael Salla with Exopolitics Today.